Well, I can't tell you how wonderful it is for my first Holy Week and Easter with you all, and how appropriate that we commemorate procession into Jerusalem as I lead you on a confusing and wayward journey towards Easter. Palm Sunday is the most complicated liturgy of the year, and it's different from any other liturgy that we do. First of all, you get to take something home. But it's all part of what makes this week so extraordinary and special. What we'll be doing this year is, I've always found it, and other clergy of friends agree, that how do you possibly preach after hearing the Passion being read? What possibly could we say that would match the words of the Passion? So I'll be preaching a sermon now, and then the Passion will be read both by readers and by all of you at the very end of our service. And at the completion of the Passion, we will have silence, in church at least. You're free to talk as much as you like outside. But that will conclude our service. And the idea is that it launches you immediately into Holy Week and into the quiet reflection of that time. You can be as raucous as you want during coffee hour, but that will signal that in church we're beginning this solemn liturgy of the week to come. So, for my money, the most important reason for reading the Passion on Palm Sunday, which is also known as the Sunday of the Passion, is that it contains the opportunity and the invitation for us to engage the text in a significant way, and I believe a very personal way as well. At its best, there's an invitation for us to see our engagement ourselves in the Passion story, to really engage the text in a significant way. So I'll start with a story about engagement of the text that is not quite what I have in mind. Oscar Wilde, when he was an undergraduate at Trinity in Dublin, was required, as all the undergraduates were, to attend a class and pass the examination in New Testament Greek. Oscar Wilde, being Oscar, didn't attend a single class. And the tutors, who were so frustrated with him, decided they would get him back at the time of the examination. So the examination was a passage from the Greek New Testament that the student would then translate, not knowing what the text was ahead, and that constituted the examination. So the tutors decided to give him the most difficult part of the Christian New Testament, which is, of course, the Passion according to John. John's the most sophisticated gospel writer, the hardest Greek, and the Passion is the most complex part of that gospel. So come the day of the examination, Oscar Wilde's sitting at a desk and the two tutors are watching him, and he has a copy of the New Testament Greek in his hand, and he begins madly to translate the Greek into English on a piece of paper. And then he puts down his pen and picks up the New Testament and begins reading avidly, turning page after page. And finally, the tutors, who can't contain their curiosity, say, "Mr. Wilde, do you mind if we ask you, what in the world are you doing?" And he said, "Oh, my dears, it's so fascinating, I can't wait to see how it comes out." I hope we have more engagement than that. And the engagement I have in mind is how we see ourselves in the Passion story. And it's the reason that Luke's version of the Passion, which we'll hear read today, is so complete in the many characters and the many people that are in his Passion narrative. And it gives us an opportunity to identify ourselves with perhaps one of the characters, but it hinges on a more important question. And that is, how are we feeling? What are we bearing? What are we carrying this Holy Week as we approach Easter? What's in our hearts? And what do we carry in trouble or sorrow or anxiety? What do we have that we bear as we come to Easter morning? So I know that many of you will not have the opportunity to attend church services this week for a variety of reasons. We'll be having services here and at Grace Church in Millbrook on Good Friday, but it may not be possible for you to come to church. And I would just ask for those of you who can't get to church, or for those of you who come to church for that matter, to have a little bit of homework, if you will. And that is to do in some quiet time this week, for a few minutes, ask yourself what it is that you carry that feels heavy and difficult for you. In the Passion, we're told all the range of emotions of the various people in the Passion story. We're told that there's grief, there's jealousy, there's guilt, there's hope, there is anxiety, there's sorrow, any number of the range of human emotions that burden us or we carry with us. And in thinking about what it is that you're carrying this week, this year, this Holy Week, and preparation for Easter, think what it is that exists in your life that is heavy, that is hard, that's a burden. And doing that, for me, is something that comes relatively easy. You know, it's like when you have a damaged tooth or a sore tooth in your mouth. Can you keep your tongue from going to that spot again and again? It's the same with the things that trouble us and burden us and hurt us. Take the time to think what it is that you carry. And the clue for that may be in the people of the Passion story. Do you identify with Peter, who, although he loves Jesus probably more than any of the other disciples, can never get it quite right? Peter always seems to stumble, and he's so keen and so committed, and yet he never quite gets the right answer. And indeed, in the Passion story, we'll be told that he actually will deny Jesus. And he can't believe that that's what's going to happen, given what's in his heart. So do we have fear or regret in our life? Is there possibly a desire for revenge or distance in our lives? Keeping God at an arm's length? Whatever it might be, jealousy, previous pain, things that we carry, look at it this week. Don't be afraid to look at it and own it and ponder it. Because I've got good news for you. Not to be a spoiler alert, but next Sunday's Easter. Next Sunday is the joyous day that we proclaim a God that knows already what it is we carry and is with us in carrying that burden. And most crucially, understands, forgives, and loves us completely even with the things that we find hard. Easter is a proclamation of hope, of resurrection, of new life, a second chance. And I think each of us this week can be aware of what's hard, what makes us feel alone, what our fears are. And it isn't that God will take those away or dismiss them or miraculously lift them from us. But we come to Easter recognizing our humanity. And the remarkable fact of Easter is God that loves us precisely because of our humanity, not in spite of it. God created us to be happy, to be free, to be just, to be generous, to be patient, to be loving. And over again, I, for one, fall short. But as a Christian, I believe in a God that loves us and forgives us, and that continues to love us no matter what. So this is a hard week. It's a hard week with the story of suffering that we hear on the part of Jesus. It's a hard week for us as we look to ourselves honestly in what we carry and what we sorrow for. But the good news is literally in the person of Christ resurrected. Our God is a God that brings new life to damaged, broken limbs. Our God is a God that raises us from the death of fear and anxiety, of brokenness, of guilt, and loves us unconditionally. Amen.